Good evening, everyone. Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Good afternoon, Peter. Yes, I guess it's a different time everywhere in the world, and we have viewers from all over the world. Yeah, Peter says, good afternoon, Mario and Billy. Yeah, Billy is here. Billy is doing well, except for his eyes. Really, he's not seeing very well anymore. There's not much that can be done, but he's still okay. Apart from that, Marek Kalenda's here, Bill Dell, Pablo Pina. Hi, Pablo. We've got Chris Jones, Brady Girding, SW. Gianfranco Bergagna is here. Adil Tricca says, hi, everyone. In India, everyone moving to silver now. That's interesting. Just clear my throat. Spanish John says, buy Bitcoin. The Liberty Alliance says, high prices holding shipping containers. It's all by design to drive prices up. Well, the lockdowns and everything were by design. So I guess indirectly you're kind of right. But be as it may, it's been very disruptive, everything. So who else have we got here? The Watcher, good evening, Super Mario and Bullion Billster. Alain Roy, bonjour de Montréal. Bonjour, Alain. Chris Conman, hi, Chris. Chris from Atlanta. John D. Marek Kalenda. Bobby Critter. Sir Mario, yeah, I don't have any titles. I wouldn't accept a title from anyone like that, really. But I don't mind if you call me sir. Good evening, music lover from Surrey. Naku Soren, hi Naku. Damien Wright, hi Damien. Urban Sombrero. Sam, hi Sam. Philip Ward. Whole Bitcoiner from Scotland. Hi, Whole Bitcoiner. Naku Soren is in Romanian. I thought it sounded like a Romanian name. Alfredo Costa says, hi, Mario. Paul Weens. Philip Julien. Good evening, Philip. Orange County. Erica Flores. Simon Bevan. I will read his message because I think it's quite appropriate for this day and age. We do not wrestle with flesh and blood, but against the principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness of this age and the spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly realms. Yeah, totally agree with that. And that's one of the reasons I try to get people to see the mess that our monetary system is and how they're ripped off. I mean, with that message from Simon is really appropriate for the title of the live stream tonight, which is central bankers will squeeze as much wealth out of the public as possible. And they keep coming out saying that they're going to be more hawkish, that they're going to taper, that they're going to raise rates. But at the same time, they say that this policy of very low rates or almost zero rates in QE is going to continue. So yeah, they speak, and they're fooling the people, and they're going to continue to boil the frog in the pot. Some of us, of course, have jumped out of the pot. A lot of frogs, unfortunately, are going to be boiled to death, and that's the way it is. Let's see, there's quite a few of you here already. We've got Bowman, Lorraine Dilks from New Zealand. It's already Monday afternoon there, I guess. We've got Midnight Green from Philadelphia. Yeah, we still got a few minutes till the official start of the live stream, so I'm just going to say hello to the early birds. Shane Sturgis, hi Shane. Blast from the Past is here. Jerry Zaparo from Sydney. Yeah, I've got my Tasmanian devil mug. I've had this for a long time. Yeah, got water here. Bit thirsty this afternoon or this evening. Gomer's 44. Hey, Mara, stocking gold, buffaloes, and eagles. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I saw a video. Someone put a video, a little clip of people protesting or throwing rocks at a bank in Beirut because they've had a 24-hour blackout. I read as well that in June, the one percenters, the elite of Lebanon, they withdrew $4 billion. They sent it all to Switzerland. So they've basically raped and pillaged the country, so to speak. I heard their central banker, who is still in power, has a fortune of almost $500 million, and it's all offshore. So I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen in Europe, this as well. And it was encouraging yesterday. I saw that there were protests in everywhere around the world. We don't hear about it here, but in Italy, there are big protests in Rome in front of the prime minister's office, and they were chanting some not very nice things to Mario Draghi. They were chanting "Vaffanculo Draghi, Vaffanculo Draghi," which means, F Draghi. So I thought that was good because Mario Draghi, he's not an elected prime minister. He's a former Goldman Sachs banker, and he's a former head of the ECB. So it was great to see that. And I saw that the mainstream Italian papers, they reported that, actually, top news, but you don't see anything, nothing about Italy in the newspapers here in the UK. I haven't found one story. And if there is, it's probably in the back pages. No is here. Hi, No, nice to see you. Butch Edwards, yeah, it's getting cool. I played today, Butch. I started out well, but my back nine wasn't great. But I had a nice day. My wife and I went out for lunch with a couple of friends, Sunday lunch. So it was very good. It's a nice place. It's a nice restaurant. It wasn't expensive, but very good food. JM from North Carolina. Sorry about that. James Peter Millward is here. Ireland debt to GDP 840%. Yeah, that is quite. Are you sure it's that? That could be the external debt, not the national debt, I would say, but it's still a lot. Mash the likes button, No says. Danny Dan, thank you for your super chat. I added a Mercury dime to my 1,200 pound silver stack. Yeah, I have Mercury dimes. They're nice coins. I've got some, I like using my old silver coins, the small ones especially, to mark my ball on the green when I play. So today I used my Aussie viewers will like this one. It's a 1910 shilling from Australia. I used this one to mark my ball today. There you go. It's got a kangaroo and an emu bird. Can you see that? Yeah, I used that to mark my ball. So a shilling, well, and this is sterling silver, and this is about the size of a quarter. So yeah, that's a shilling. But Australians, of course, now don't use the sterling system. They use the dollar system, but they don't have any silver, of course. Billy is living the good life, says Fast Eddie. Iggy Foe says, working real estate clients are mostly from Eastern Europe. Everyone is worried about a Soviet-style collapse in the USA. Yeah, Stephen, Italy was kicking off. I was glad to see that. Let's hope it keeps going. They're not talking about it here in the UK, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I remember Ireland during the sovereign debt crisis, European sovereign debt crisis, all the Irish banks collapsed. And I think the institution that had any cash, the only institution that had any cash was Paddy Power, which is a betting company. That's how bad the banking system was. And the worst thing is that nothing's being fixed. All these banks in the EU, in the UK, in Ireland, even in the US, I would say the system is very fragile. And yeah, Blue Ocean, Billy likes, he likes to sleep there. Sometimes he does get up, but he's getting older. He's almost 14. He's not seeing very well anymore. So yeah, that's Billy. Tristan Jones, I'm sure you already spoke about this, but what's your opinion on Bitcoin versus gold as a store of value? Personally, I think Bitcoin is a distraction from real stores of value, hard assets. You know, I've been following Bitcoin since 2012. And I think it's an interesting idea, Bitcoin. And I think it's very speculative. I think it can go higher, but it also can go a lot lower. So it's not a very stable store of value, but you know, you can't deny that if you had like $1 in Bitcoin some years ago, it's now $50,000. But I have some exposure to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I publish a lot of all my videos in a few blockchain-based platforms, so I earn those altcoins. I invested a small amount in a Bitcoin fund back in 2016. That's doing very well. But yeah, I see a lot of people point out that gold and silver are finished, that they're done, they're no good anymore, especially people in the crypto world. Not everyone, of course. And I tend to disagree with that. Gold and silver, people for the last 50 years have been saying that a lot, that it's finished. I think even Milton Friedman said that it could go towards zero after, you know, Nixon closed the gold window, but he was completely wrong. And I think the people that are saying this about gold and silver are going to be wrong again. But it doesn't mean that there isn't room for cryptos, Bitcoin. But the thing that's always in the back of my mind that nags me is the fact that we don't really know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I know that the white paper that was written for Bitcoin is great, the idea, but yeah, and the other thing as well, there's a lot of opportunities in altcoins, and if you want to get involved, you need to do your homework. Because the other day, for example, Hive coin, that I have quite a few, that went from like 60 cents to 170 overnight. And I missed that, but I was able to sell some for Bitcoin around 120, and now it's at 80. So you need to keep in constantly watch it. I don't watch it very close. I watch it daily, but I don't trade it really. And the Fed, belly dance, Rabia says, yes, that's always a great thing. And the Fed, great slogan. Ron Paul's, I don't think it was Ron Paul who started it, but I think when he was running for president and he was becoming really popular, he was going to campuses to speak, and people started chanting, and the Fed. That's how it came about. Sarge 27271, keep an eye on China. Things are coming apart at the seams. Word of the day, contagion. Watch Deutsche Bank, douche bank, if bonds start popping. Yeah, I think that is a problem, the Evergrande and the Chinese property market. But I also think the big problem is inflation, rising prices. I think the central bankers are still deluded. They think it's transitory, or they're just trying to fool people. They just want to inflate away the debt, because we got so much debt. And if you keep rates almost at zero, and prices are rising by 4, 5, 6, 7%, for 3-4 years, you're going to wipe out a lot of that debt. So I think the central bankers, they want the inflation. They're going to pretend that there isn't any, that it's going to come back down to 2%. But if you have 3 years of 3 to 5% inflation, and then it comes down to 2 or 3%, it's still bad. Unless you go and it becomes, the CPI becomes negative, nothing is going to be great. So that's why I keep saying to people, you need to be careful. You need to know that things are not going to improve economically. Yes, there are opportunities in all kinds of environments, but yeah, live within your means. Try to save for a rainy day. Tighten your belts. It's going to get worse. I think this winter, Evergrande could be it could be something that starts a big set of problems in the system. We'll have to wait and see. Fast Addy says Jeff Christian said copper is better. Silent Spielberg, why do banks buy gold? Well, the major governments of the world still hold gold reserves, and the bullion banks are the agents of governments through the central banks. And the reason they buy and sell gold, and they do a lot of stuff in the derivatives market, is because they know deep down, they know that it's money. And if they didn't have any gold in the system, their fiat currencies would be really worthless. And yeah, that's why because it's money, as JP Morgan said. But you got to be careful. If you have an account with a big bank and you think you buy gold with them, and they say, oh, we're storing your gold for you, that's no good. It's a paper claim usually. It's yeah, I wouldn't trust them. I would go to a dealer to buy physical gold and silver. Fast Daddy thinks $1,200 silver coming fast. Well, that would be nice, but I think a world of $1,200 silver would be an even more disrupted world than it is today. So I just wanted to show you here this article. It's to do with the title today of the video or of the live stream. And it's about to show you that these guys, they're really trying to fool the people to stay in the game. In this, it's called financial repression. They had it in the 50s, where they kept, and 60s, where they kept interest rates artificially low during the World War II, after World War II. And they ran inflation a lot higher. They even though in the 50s and 60s, growth did help the economy, but now we're not getting any real healthy growth, any private sector growth. What we're getting is a lot of government spending, and the only way they can do that is through borrowing more. But new Bank of England chief economist warns of long-lasting inflation. So that headline there seems, I saw that and I said, wow, they're going to be really hawkish. And the guy's name is Hugh Pill. And surprisingly, he worked for Goldman Sachs. I guess it's not surprising. But I went through the article, and, you know, you look here, it says markets currently expect a 15 basis point rate rise by February, with an increasing likelihood of the first increase at December meeting. Traders are betting on interest rates rising from the current 0.1% to 0.75% by the end of 22. So here we have prices rising like more than 5%. I don't believe in their CPI. Energy prices going through the roof. And they're going to raise rates a measly 0.65%. I mean, if they were really concerned about containing inflation and prices, they would be raising rates to like 3-4% right away. And the other thing he says here, you see, he says the former Goldman Sachs economist also said non-standard policy tools such as quantitative easing, negative interest rates, and forward guidance are here to stay. They have evolved to become part of the standard monetary policy armory. So when I saw that, I told myself the title of this article is very misleading, because he's actually saying we're going to have negative rates and more QE despite all the price rises we've had. So they're not really serious about containing inflation. And that's why you need to keep that in mind. That was the reason why I did the title of that the live stream as such. Jason Salveson from Wadebridge, Cornwall. Hi, Jason. Thank you for that. Philip Ward, do you believe China, Russia could create gold-backed currencies? Yeah, they've been accumulating a lot of gold over the years, especially Russia and China as well. Some people, official numbers for China are at just under 1,950 tons. Russia, I think they've got over 2,000 tons. It's possible, but it's possible, but there is a lot of speculation on the gold-backed Q1, but it could be more of a system where they use it as an international means of payment. And I think it's possible, very possible. But to do that, I think they need a bit more time. And I think they're doing all the right things. I saw as well that Russia did an agreement, military agreement with the Saudis. That's bad news for the petrodollar as well. So yeah, I wouldn't put it out of the realms of possibility, because I don't think the Chinese, and especially not the Russians, would want to have the reserve currency like the dollar. So I think the future is, yeah, going towards gold. And I noticed also that in the last 4 years, the country, or officially, the country that's bought the most gold is actually India. So India is picking up the slack as well. I think they bought almost 200 tons in the last 4 years. Brazil doubled their reserves this year. Poland is buying a lot of gold. Hungary. So definitely, I think these countries see that the writing is on the wall for the petrodollar or the fiat dollar. Yeah, John Smiley says Rishi Sunak is ex-Goldman Sachs. Yeah, he's the chancellor of the exchequer now. Melissa Capella says, Mario, thank you for everything you do. Oh, you're welcome. California Stacker, what financial BS? I was reading an article about Southwestern Airlines in the US that they've had to cancel like 1,000 flights. They're not admitting anything about their pilots not wanting to fly because of, you know what, the mandate. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I see quite a lot of brave people giving up their jobs because of that. Just wanted to mention that. I'm not going to go too much into it. We don't want to be banned from social media. HZJ79, thank you for your Aussie dollars there for your super chat. Tax is theft. I agree, Robert Browning. Macron worked for the IMF. No, I think Macron worked for the Rothschild Bank in Paris. I don't think he ever worked for the IMF. Stray Dog, I didn't play well today. I was 1 over par after 7 holes, and I ended up shooting like 13 over. So not a great round. I don't know what happened. I just kind of lost, just went downhill. I was playing quite well, as I said. It was a competition, but it's the way it is. Afterwards, I went out for lunch, my wife and some friends. It was quite nice anyway. So I've had a nice day. Philip Ward, Mario, would you go as far as to say we are being attacked economically? Oh, definitely. That's actually thank you. Thanks for that question. I just looked at it again, Philip. I do. I've been thinking about that because I think what's been happening since last year, they shut the whole economy down, all the lockdowns. I think that was an attack economically, and now all the money printing that they did to save the Wall Street and the city of London again, the billionaires have become even richer, and it's the people that are suffering with the rising prices, and now they're even talking here in the UK of raising taxes on gas for heating, and we're going to have also, I was reading earlier today that gas and electricity is probably going to go up by around 100 to 150 pounds a month from next April. That's a lot. Yes, a lot of us can't afford that, but I think it's going to be horrific. And from next April as well, we're going to have higher national insurance tax. It's really going to get, I think they are doing it, on purpose. I heard someone say that 400,000 small businesses have collapsed in the UK since last year, since they shut everything down. I think that's what they want to do. And I think these mandates and these passes are going to collapse a lot of other companies, because a lot of people are going to refuse, not the majority, I would say, but a big number of people, proportion of people are going to refuse to work to have this medical mandate. So yes, I think it's all by design. And they know that they need to wreck the system, because the system is completely up to here and that it can't function anymore. And that's why I think it's important to know it, and also to be outside the system in terms of your assets, to also be part of a small, tight-knit community, just like Arpad from Star Path Academy told us that they did in Romania in the 90s. I think that's really important. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. Shouldn't the US go ahead and default on their debt? Wouldn't be better in the long term instead of having dollar crisis, which we're headed? It sounds good, just default on the debt. And I agree with you. But the problem is that the US government has a lot of unfunded liabilities that it has to pay. So, and a lot of millions of people depend on Uncle Sam. So if you collapse the dollar and you have a default, you're going to have, I would say, 10, 20, 30 millions of people dying of starvation. It will be maybe not that much, but it will be a pretty horrific. because our economy is not just the US, but UK and Western Europe. We've become so dependent on governments. That's the flip side of it. You default on the debt, everything goes. Yeah, for us, of course, who are not dependent, for us who are pretty self-sufficient and have real money, it will be fine, but it will be a pretty nasty world. And you never know. Things are so topsy-turvy these days that I wouldn't put it out of the question. And I think, yeah, they've extended this ceiling to the 3rd of December. But after that, I think it's going to be, we could have an interesting Christmas, run up to Christmas. Someone, short-term rally on dollar index and then it falls, says GG. Mark Fletcher, just to let people know, I try to answer as many questions as possible. It goes through quite quickly, but Mark has a question. What do you think of the documentary, The Four Horsemen, Mario? I think it's awesome. I'd love you to do a commentary on it. I think I watched it a few years ago. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I think it was let me have a look here. The Four, is that by Rebel, Four Horsemen? Documentary. Ross Ashcroft. Yeah, I think I watched that. Yeah, it's about 10 years old. It was a long time ago. So yeah, I might have to watch it again. St. Louis 9. When will they begin increasing interest rates, and when will the world return to using gold as currency, or at least using gold standard gold? I think we can be, you see, St. Louis, my currency and my money is gold and silver. So you don't have to wait for the rest of the world to do it, or any a country to do it. As far as interest rates are concerned, I think the central banks, they realize that they need to like raise rates a little bit, maybe next year, because they can't, this transitory inflation thing is out the window, but they're going to do their darndest to not raise it too much. But longer term rates like the 5, 10, 20, 30-year bonds, those yields could get out of control. And they try to control those rates a little bit through QE, but also through something called forward guidance, which is just talking about it, saying, oh, we're going to keep short-term rates near zero for the next foreseeable future. You saw there that new economist for the Bank of England, former Goldman banker, saying that, yes, we're concerned about inflation, but negative rates, QE, are a thing that they're new, they're going to be here for a long time. So that's forward guidance. But yeah, it's tough. There have been a lot of people calling for rates to rise the last few years, but what's happened is the central banks, they found excuses to do more and more QE, like the crisis last year, and they use these reserves that they create to buy the bonds and keep rates low. But what that's creating is the collapse of the currencies that we're seeing now. And they're collapsing versus commodities. And I think that's what is going to happen. They're going to lose control of the commodities market. Yeah, renegade economics, Mark Fletcher says. Yeah, that's right. I think they did the documentary Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, the Four Horsemen. Uh, Adam Karimian, can you provide some insight into the ramifications of switching, to green energy for the dollar if the petrodollar system gives? Yeah, no, yeah, that's a big, that's a good point. And I've said that in some of my past videos over the years. If you go into, if we go off uh, fossil fuel, as they call it, or oil, if you want to call it, yeah, there's not going to be the reason for people to hold dollars because unless the US gets into the gas business, yeah, people are going to be paying Russians and the people who extract gas now in the Middle East. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why people are moving away from the petrodollar. We're seeing a lot of countries get gold. So yeah, I think it's all part of this process of the unraveling of the petrodollar. And I think it would be a good thing for the US to not have to be the reserve currency, because all that does is it puts pressure on US industry and business, because every country in the world is trying to earn dollars because that's the reserve currency. So they're trying to underprice all US businesses. So yeah, it's not great in the short term, but in the longer term, I think it's a good thing. Blue ocean, would be Bitcoin ETFs be bad for Bitcoin price? Definitely, not just for Bitcoin prices, but it would be bad for Bitcoin, also futures on Bitcoin, because you'd have the bankers getting involved, and they would drive the price around up and down without actually having the Bitcoin. I think it's a really bad thing. I think Bitcoin should be Bitcoin and that's it. People who are in the crypto world who push for ETFs and futures, I think it's the wrong way around, because cryptocurrencies were created to be a parallel system away from the current system, but they want to be regulated now. It doesn't make sense. So no, I don't think it would be good for it. SC, do you see a future without central banks? Yes, I do actually. I know it doesn't seem possible right now, but when I started looking into this whole thing of sound money about 20 years ago, I could tell that central banking is a bad thing. It's not really, it's against free markets, freedom, sound money. And there weren't many people in that camp, but I see more and more people. I mean, we have here over 50,000 subscribers. So hopefully, yes, I see a good chance. We're a lot closer to central banks going the way of the dodo bird, hopefully. Christian Meyer, what's your opinion of Crescat Capital? I've interviewed Tavi Costa a couple of times. I think he knows what he's talking about. As for Crescat Capital, I haven't invested in any of their funds, but I think he's right. They're right about what's going on. Yes, it's been frustrating the last 12 months plus, the precious metals space, but they've been right about the inflation and what's happening. So yeah, I think they're credible. Crescat Capital. It's difficult saying that name. Crescat, it's a weird name. Tristan Jones, most people in Bitcoin want it regulated because they think it's help the price. Seems like most people in crypto space are into, yeah, that's, and the idea of crypto, Tristan, is to get away from the bankers, but they want to go to bed with the bankers. That's what it is. And that's That's why I don't like that. Ryan Morosi, do you think we will see higher unemployment rates as the V mandate talk people keeps people being pushed? I've also heard you need to the V claim UI benefits. Is this happening in the UK? It probably will. It's not happening right now in the UK. They're not pushing it as much, but I think they will. Well, the thing is, the unemployment rate is meaningless because they only count people who are looking for a job and claiming. But if you give up your job and you not looking for another one because you don't want to do the thing on your arm, then you're not going to be counted. So actually, if you saw the last jobs data last Friday, they only created like 100 and it was very low. The not new jobs created. It was a big miss, but the unemployment rate dropped to 4.8% because they don't count all the millions of people that are basically fed up and they're probably don't want to work for a big corporation. It's a problem. So focus more on the non-farm payroll. That unemployment rate is not indicative, but I think that will happen. We're seeing now, I saw the story of Southwestern Airlines. They're saying it's because of the weather, but they've had to cancel 1,000 flights. And I see a lot of people probably going to walk off their jobs. Full of hope. Do you remember years ago, there was an outcry that pensioners were dying of hypothermia in the UK? Headlines, heat or eat. Here we go again with this. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, that's been happening for years. It's not just now. And also the NHS being really busy. That's been happening for years as well. Every winter because of the flu, they get overrun because it's badly run. I think the NHS is they've got more paper pushers than real doctors and nurses. So yeah, and it's a centralized Soviet system, the NHS. So yeah, and there are some people saying that this is all fake, but it's not. It's not fake. This inflation is not fake, and the shortages are not fake. It's all real. It might have been triggered by a non-crisis last year, but be as it may, it's here. And I think it's going to get worse. John Peter Millward, in the future, I won't say the word. I think most people can see it. Blood will be worth more than gold. Yeah. They call it hashtag pure blood. I think there's a hashtag. Oh yeah, Sarge 27271 just mentioned that. Stephen Hamer, yeah, I've heard that too. And if you've got good immunity, that's all you need. I'm not going to say more. ME says crypto is creating levels of wealth among the wealthy. This will change society. Central bank drama is a secondary issue. Well, I think the crypto world has been infiltrated by a lot of the Wall Street gang, a lot of Goldman Sachs people, and it's fine. People have done well from it. And I've benefited a little bit from cryptos because I published my videos on blockchain platforms. But anyway, Big Bush Ape, thank you for your super chat. Big Bush Ape Tits says, love the channel. Thank you, Mario. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for that. Peter the Repeater Monster says, when the power goes off, crypto will look less attractive. Well, they had a power outage in the whole of Lebanon for 24 hours over this weekend. I think they've finally got the power back on, but they're talking about that it could go on for days, and they're not out of the woods yet. How are you going to mine for cryptocurrencies? I know phones, they can run for a while, even if you don't have power, but I'd rather have like a silver coin or something when everything goes down. But anyway, Larry Ferris, how did the world work before central banks? What was the world population before central bankers? How did the world's current population handle what will be a very limited supply of gold? Well, I think there were no central banks before 1700. How did the world cope? Well, people just traded back and forth with whatever they wanted. And the market, and it was a lot of times silver or gold. And the supply of gold, gold is money. So there are a lot of people who say there's not enough gold, but it depends at what ratio towards other goods and services. So that's how things would how can I say, adapt. We don't need central bankers because do we need central bakers? Do we need central real estate agents? Do we need, let's see, central carpenters? No, we need a free market in money and in banking because, yeah, and if you look at the Communist Manifesto, one of the planks of the Communist Manifesto is centralized credit, and that's what central banks are. Central banks are just an instrument of the bankers using government to enrich themselves, because every time their speculations go bad, we have to bail them out, and that's why we have such a huge national debt, not only in the UK, but in the US and all of Europe, because we've been bailing out bankers for hundreds of years. So yeah, I'd love to see them disappear. And you can barter as well. You can do whatever you want. The world worked fine before central banks. And some people might say, oh, but we had the Industrial Revolution but it could have happened without the central banks. We could have had, and people might say, oh, we have all the technology now, but who knows? The world could be an even better place than it is today. I mean, there's still a huge wealth inequality in the world. A few dozen people control most of the wealth in the world, and that's because of central banking, I would say. I think that's the biggest threat. Central banking and fiat currency are the biggest threat to prosperity and freedom. Not, there are other things out there that are bad, but the mainstream media, mainstream academia, and popular culture are not going to talk about these things because we're controlled, unfortunately, by the same people who run these banks. Echo, any chance of a UK-based mug about the BOE? Yeah, I will have to design another one. I had one that I had to stop because I had a deal with copyright. I had a photo of the old lady of Threadneedle Street, but I'm going to do another one for the Bank of England, like shut the Bank of England and bury the old lady, something like that. I will design a new mug, Echo. Yeah, Fast Daddy says for 2,000 years, a Roman soldier's daily wage was less than a silver dime. Yeah, silver is highly undervalued, I think, as well. against other things. John Smiley, yeah, Austrian School of Economics, von Mises. I've been following them for over 20 years. Mr. Ashford, the talk of the UK being a high skill, high wage, low tax economy is pure rhetoric, or maybe we can produce gallows again. I think there's a big global demand for those just now. I totally agree with you. It's a joke to say that UK's high skill, high wage, low tax economy. It's just Boris Johnson PR rubbish, I would say. The only way will be, if you look at a country like Switzerland, I would say that's pretty high skill, high wage, low tax economy, even though taxes could be lower there. They don't have any capital gains tax in Switzerland, but Switzerland is the last country really where they still had some sound money up until about 20, 25 years ago. And I think it's all part of that because of the sound money. But that's gone out the window now, and Switzerland is going the wrong path, in my opinion. Ban the BOE. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think I'll use that. Ban the BOE. And then I can put like a picture of the Bank of England on the mug and put ban the BOE. I can get a picture on Wikipedia, or I could, when I go to the city next, I'll take a photo myself. Lily Robin has the Billy Airways sweatshirt. Echo, you should see. Heiser says QE to the moon mug. I bought that one. Would be delighted to buy a UK. Okay. Mark Fletcher thinks countries have to go to nuclear energy. Well, what do you mean by countries? I mean, I think I don't know what you mean by that. People should be free to use what kind of energy they have. I don't like that thing. It's too, yeah, by saying countries, what do you mean? Governments shouldn't be involved in that. But I don't know. The energy crisis is due to a lot more other things. I think it's more of a currency crisis, as I said in one of my recent videos. But yeah, nuclear energy, it's kind of, it's not a very free market, I would say. It's probably very regulated, but who knows? Or what about going to Tesla's free energy? And that's not Elon Musk's Tesla, but Nikola Tesla's free energy. He had that, but they got rid of it. That would have been good. GGWBA, will Bitcoin kill gold? No, I don't think so at all. I don't think there's any competition for gold, really. I know a lot of people disagree with me, but that's what I think. Tether will crash with the dollar and drag all cryptos with it. Yeah, I mean, I know about the Tether situation. I've looked at it over a year, and Tether was supposed to be backed by, each Tether should have $1 in backing. but we learned from the company itself that they've only got 3% backing, but for some reason, people ignore that. Evan Friedman, what are your thoughts about the fourth industrial revolution, so-called Great Reset by Klaus Schwab? I think it's a pipe dream of the globalists, and I hope it doesn't come to fruition. I wrote about it in my blog last year. Let's see, I've got it here. It's quite, I think it's actually it's almost as if they're trying to bring back the Third Reich. That's what I think about the fourth industrial revolution. So here you go. I've got about 12,000 views. This is from my blog. I wrote it last year in June of last year. I'll put the link here. Tell you what I think about Herr Schwab. There you go. Neil, gold is a tier one asset. I think what gold is tier one is related to the bank's capital. So, and gold can be used as an asset for balancing the bank's tier one capital. So we've gone through that many, this year because of Basel III, but gold itself is an asset that is accepted for tier one capital. There's a difference between bank capital and an asset. So gold is actually accepted as an asset for the calculation of tier one capital. That's really the right way to say it, Neil. So yeah, there's a lot of confusion by saying that it's a tier one asset, because it isn't. Because tier one is the terminology that the BIS uses for capital. Capital and asset are different. The bank equity of the bank or capital. GG, what do you mean by Tesla's free energy? Well, Nikola Tesla, just Google Nikola Tesla free energy, and there's a lot about that. Yeah, he found that you can basically source, I think it was from the stratosphere, electric energy, and his idea was to have these towers, big towers around the country, and that it would attract the free energy, and all you needed was an antenna, and everything could run freely from, and this is continuous energy around the earth. So no need for extracting oil from the ground. So yeah, Google it, Nikola Tesla free energy, and you should find a lot of stuff on that. I agree with you, Chris Jones, about the fourth industrial revolution. William Stewart, that's good advice. If you have gold, look after it, and it will do the same for you. Lily Robbins says, I noticed the queen is on almost all silver coins. I guess she's in the coins in Canada because she's the queen of Canada, I guess. It's still, she's queen there. She's the queen in Britain, Australia. Yeah, she likes those silver coins. It won't stop me from buying the silver coins if it doesn't really matter to me. But anyway, D says Cliff High Miner says price of gold and silver going to 20,000, silver to 600. Yeah, I used to buy the Alta reports. I started buying them like years ago from Cliff High, and I actually did some summaries on this channel back in 2016, 17, and then he stopped doing the Alta reports. But he's had this $600 silver language. He's not predicting it. He's just saying that there's a language that is going to come out. And the thing about the Alta reports is that you don't really know when. He's got what he calls temporal markers. But I remember him when Bitcoin was under $1,000 saying that it was going to 13,800. And people thought he was crazy. And I think the thing with silver is that the data are saying that when Bitcoin hits 64,000, silver that same year will go to 600. So we have hit 64,000 this year. So who knows? Right now, it doesn't feel like we could see $600 silver. Either way, I will still keep stacking silver, even if it just doesn't go to 600. But what we need to understand, though, I think the world will be even more crazy than it is right now if silver's at 600. Yeah, Billy is snoring. He is fast asleep. Green New Deal, yeah. I've done videos about, the global warming, the climate change thing, which we have to be careful now. They say that they're gonna ban people who deny it. I don't deny anything. All I've done videos in the past is that the people who are behind the money system, the central bankers, the bankers, they're the same people who are behind all this environmental movement. And it's sad that the general public doesn't see it and they buy right into it. Let me see if I can find one of my videos that I did that. Let's have a look. I don't think they banned it. Oh, here we go. I found one. I've got a few. So here's this is what I think about the whole thing. Yeah, watch. Let's see the title of it. I'll give you the title. That's the title of that video. Okay, there you go. Tristan Jones, I agree with that. Yeah. I think, that's all part of this, the way the powers that be keep people away from gold. It's that they create like a commodities market, like a futures market, a paper market to keep and to bring in speculators and people for people to think of it as a risky thing. But I agree with you. It's all about the purchasing power and how many other, other things you can buy with it. Whippersnapper, double eagle. Yeah, I think double eagles are good coins. Is that what you mean? I have some double eagles. Total bell shit. Bell shit. Climate change equals stealth tax. I agree. And also it means global control. New World Order, UN, because the people who created the UN are also the bankers. You just have to Google John D. Rockefeller Jr., I think, giving a check to the UN. It was the Rockefellers that gave, I think it was $8 million in 1946 or something for the UN to build their headquarters in New York. So those are the people behind it. Double sovereigns, I don't have any, Echo, but they're good. Double sovereigns, they're about half an ounce, I would say, just under half an ounce. Whole Bitcoiners, double eagles, not double jabs. That maybe I should do I'll do a t-shirt, maybe like that, with maybe a gold coin on it. Yeah, Benoit Guillou, climate change is purposely pitched to justify the murder of growth. The other thing that is being done for Benoit is to transfer a lot of the wealth from the West to Asia. That's one of the things that they've done, because if you look at China, they're still heavily into coal and carbon. You know, they're not gonna, I think they've got till like 2050 to start thinking about it. I don't know, but it's part of this transfer of wealth. I think it was what's his name? James Wolfenson. He died, I think, last year, but he did a speech, and I've spoken about this. And he did a speech at Stanford Business School back in 2011. And he said that the policy of the powers that be, because he worked for he was a head of the World Bank, James Wolfenson, he's a banker, worked for the Rothschilds, said the policy is to make, make the East, the emerging market countries in the Far East richer, and you know, lower the wealth of the West. So yeah, and I think that's part of it. And you know, Belly Dance Arabia says, wow, that's the truth, transfer of wealth from the West to East Asia. And am I saying the Asians and other people shouldn't be prosperous? No. What I'm saying is it's being done the wrong way by punishing people in the West without them knowing about the bigger picture. Why can't the whole, because what they're doing is, instead of helping other countries come up here, they're doing this and this, you see. Why not, like, maybe help them a bit more so everyone can go up? That's what I mean. It's not only the East, but also maybe Latin America as well, and other countries. I'll take a couple of more questions. We're running out of time. The enslavement of Western civilization asks, is it possible that the climate change is being pushed because of a new deal between Russia and Saudi Arabia, making the petrodollar defunct? No, no, I don't think so. It started way before that. This climate change or environmental movement started in the 70s, way before. Thumbs up for Billy. Oh, there you go. He just got, Billy. He just woke up. There you go. Whippersnapper says he's got a 1797 copper tuppence, George III. Wow, that must be worth something. All right. So I'm going to call it a night. It's getting late here, and Billy and I are going to go to bed soon. And I want to thank all of you for participating and for being here on this live stream. And I wish you all a great week coming up. And also a great end to the weekend if you're like in Hawaii or California or even the East Coast of the US or Canada. Thank you again and take care. In the live stream.